Knight Rider won't be seen tonight, so we can bring you a very special episode of The Gen X Files. Welcome to The Gen X Files. I'm Jim.
I'm Adam.
And today's show is all about Jaws.
I love that. It's so great. So great. Take yourself back to 1975.
Ooh.
January 1st, John N. Mitchell, H.R. Haldeman, and John Ehrlichman are found guilty of the Watergate cover-up.
The last time any politician was held accountable for his actions or
They
her
were
actions.
later sentenced to between 30 months and 8 years in prison.
Good.
Yeah. January 6th, Wheel of Fortune debuts on NBC.
That was very powerful. It was my good.
I mean, rightfully so.
40 years and 50 years ago.
Yeah. January 6th, Wheel of Fortune debuts. January 15th, Space Mountain opens at Walt Disney World.
Space Mountain
and
opens.
The Magic Kingdom in Walt Disney World.
So what happened on June 20th,
June
1975?
20th. Premiere of Jaws.
Yeah.
Don't Get in the Water. It debuted at number 1. It actually broke records with an opening weekend of $7 million.
Oh, yeah.
Broke records. It actually made back its budget in 10 days.
Yep.
And across all of its releases, Jaws has grossed $472 million worldwide up to now. It's been re-released like 6 times in the theaters.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then in the United States and Canada, it has grossed $261 million, equivalent to $1.2 billion in 2020 dollars.
Wow.
Making it the 7th highest grossing movie of all time, adjusted for ticket price inflation. And all those great sequels all together, it has earned over $2 billion.
Jaws 2, okay. It was
Sure.
still had the Jaws vibe.
Does it fit into the sequel better?
Of course, because you still have Roy Scheider, and it's still at the same place.
But Spielberg didn't direct that.
No, but they got somebody who aped his style enough so it seemed like
Copied
a
it
Spielberg
well
movie. It had
enough,
to say, with everybody sailing and all the same kind of, the kids smoking grass on their boats. But 3...
Jaws 3D.
Yeah, 3D. I saw in the theater in the worst 3D. I've seen all of them in the
yeah?
I didn't see the first one, but I saw third one in the theater with the horrible 3D with
Michael Caine.
No, that's Jaws 4: The Revenge.
Oh, I thought he was in Jaws 3.
No,
3D.
Jaws 3 has it's about his sons. It was Dennis Quaid and some other actor and Bess Armstrong. Who people know from Bosch if they watch Bosch. Just started watching Bosch.
Somebody has a Bosch obsession.
Watch it on Prime. Good show. They're not paying us for that. But it was all about they worked at SeaWorld.
Yeah.
SeaWorld type.
I remember
place.
because the dragon behind and the stunt skiers and stuff.
The
I remember
water
that.
skiers.
Yeah, water skiers. Yeah.
So they captured a big old shark. Big old great white shark, and they had the first big old great white shark in captivity. And then the mama shark came.
Oh,
And
the
mama
real shark
was
came.
ridiculously huge, cartoonishly so.
Like it ate the entire park in one.
It should have. It was dumb. And then Jaws 4: The Revenge.
I remember Jaws 3. I don't remember Jaws 4 at all.
In Jaws 4, the only actor that they had left was the mom, played by Lorraine Gray.
Oh, yeah.
Her, I think it opens up with one of her sons getting eaten.
Oh.
And then, but at this point, we don't have a Quaid, so she and Michael Caine, they take off to the Caribbean, to have a little vacay.
Yeah.
And Mario Peebles comes in as a Jamaican man with a great accent, and and the shark comes after her. This shark, it's like a battle between the families. Yes, but you don't know who wants revenge. Is it Ellen Brody or is it the shark? Because they both have need of revenge because they both killed each other's
It's just
families.
a mess. It's a mess. It's so many dead people and
stupid
sharks.
Beyond belief because sharks don't have the capacity for revenge.
Yeah. Well, it's a movie.
But Ellen Brody sure did. So did Michael
So
Caine.
the question is where did all that fun begin?
Yeah, where did it start, Adam?
It all started with Robert Benchley wanting to write a novel about a shark terrorizing a beachfront town. And Richard D. Zanuck and David Brown, producers at Universal Pictures, independently each found the novel before it was released.
Yeah.
Benchley, I'm sure, was shopping it around.
Looking at the galleys? Is that what they call
galleys,
it?
yeah. So they each read the book in one night and agreed that it was the most exciting thing they'd ever read. instead. So they bought the rights before publication for $175,000, which is almost $1 million in 2021.
Wow.
Yeah.
And was Benchley that well known then? Because I did read the book.
Yeah, he had some stuff before that. There was
Orca, right?
Orca. There's something called The Deep or something.
Yeah.
He
wrote a lot of
he wrote,
sea adventures.
Yes, and it's good. The book is great.
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
it's
it's
awesome.
really well done. To the extent it's very complicated, and the extent that if both Zanuck and Brown had read the book one more time, they said they would not have bought it because some of the scenes would have been almost impossible to film.
Oh, yeah. Ask anyone that filming on water is a fool's errand.
Yeah.
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 Even Cameron talking about Titanic.
Yeah.
He had a whole,
Oh, down in
giant tank and
Mexico,
everything.
and it was
still madness.
Still was, yeah. There was only one fool that wanted that job, and that was Steven Spielberg. And he had just finished Sugarland Express.
Yep. Goldie Hawn.
He'd had some success. The movie hadn't come out yet,
Nope.
but they obviously had seen it and they knew, and so he had made Duel, which was pretty successful.
Great.
Had-
Dennis
great
Weaver,
movie, yeah.
TV movie.
Great movie,
about a truck with a faceless driver. You never see the driver. It's basically
Yeah.
Jaws with a truck.
And it's exactly why Spielberg wanted to do it. He said, "I see similarities in this story of the shark and the truck," and he begged the producers, and they had tried to get some other people, and finally they gave it to him. And then almost immediately, Steven Spielberg said, "Oh my God, I'm going to become the truck and shark guy." So he tried to get out of it. He tried to go shoot Lucky Lady over at Fox with Gene Hackman, and which eventually ended up being directed by Stanley Donen, and was one of the biggest flops ever.
Oh, well, maybe because he didn't have the Spielby.
It's very possible. It's very possible.
Well, I think also he looked at it and was like, "Holy crap, this is huge."
I think
how the hell do I do this?
I think he finally realized that. It was
I don't think it
gonna
was
be
so much
insane.
like.
I know. I think it was one of those
remorse.
like, oh my God, yeah. But Universal unfortunately exercised their veto power on his contract and said, nope, you're going to be doing this movie regardless. And
You like it or not.
And then Brown convinced him to stay, saying, man, look, after this, you'll be able to make any movie you want.
And he was not lying.
No, he was very prophetic in that way. So Universal gave him a budget of $3.5 million and a 55-day shooting schedule, which they did not stick with.
No.
Not to their own fault, but we'll get into that after the
Well.
writing. Yeah.
There was a lot of factors.
Yes. So they were working on the script. The first factor in keeping the movie not on schedule was that they eventually did three drafts as per his contract. He admitted that he was like, I don't know how to write screenplays.
Yeah.
I don't know how to transfer to make the characters more real.
A novel and
yeah.
a screenplay are two completely different animals. And just look at some of these the guys trying to adapt their work. It just doesn't.
Yeah, but Benchley was the first time it was that I actually saw a writer just admit it. He was like, "Look, man, this is not my thing."
Yeah, and also, it's like a lot of the reason why a lot of the times they don't ask the writers to do the script is because it's just too precious to them.
Yeah,
it's too,
exactly.
They're too close to it.
Yeah, 100%. And it's good to have other eyes on it.
Definitely.
Spielberg just wanted to use the third act of the book. He did not like. Not that he didn't like the first two acts, but he said as a movie, it makes more sense to have it be about like the chase and finding the shark and all that, and just truncate the first two. Benchley didn't agree, and then they were arguing. So after his third draft, they said, "Okay, you fulfilled your contract. You can go away now." And they hired on John Bynum, who did Razor's Edge.
Oh, okay.
Except he said no, and then
Wait, they did Razor's Edge with Bill Murray?
yeah.
Oh, wow.
And then he asked the Columbo creators, William Link and Richard Levinson, to do a rewrite, and they were like, no.
Yeah. Well, he got his chops on directing Columbos and directing TV.
Yeah. They were friendly.
Spielberg.
Yeah. So then he went to playwright Howard Sackler had heard about the project and offered to do an uncredited rewrite, and all of them were like, yes, please.
Nice.
Please do a rewrite. So they had him do the rewrite. Spielberg wanted some levity in the script, so he asked Carl Gottlieb from The Odd Couple, one of the writers for The Odd Couple, who was also an actor, to work on it, to punch it up after they got it back from Howard Sackler. And also, John Milius and Robert Shaw both contributed to the script. I mean, they're literally.
Goes into the water.
I believe that Gottlieb is the one that actually
Sharks
got.
in the water.
I think Gottlieb was the only one that got the actual credit for it.
But they worked on the
I think
monologue
there were
for
like
the
nine writers on this movie.
But I think Milius and Shaw basically worked on that.
They worked
USS
on the
Indianapolis.
the speech. Yeah. Which Gottlieb admits that he was like, it was mostly Robert Shaw because he made it his own.
Sure.
You know what I mean, which makes sense.
Yeah, drunk bastard.
Robert Shaw was a fascinating character.
The old drunk Hollywood, baby.
So they finally get to a point where they say, look, we're coming up on production, so we need to get started. And the script technically wasn't done yet.
Sure.
But they started with casting. And the first cast they went after was Brody, which they first offered to Robert Duvall.
Ooh.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
But he wanted to play Quint instead.
I get it. And he would have been good, probably.
Yeah.
But he's too young for Quint at that time.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I don't, as much as I love Duvall, I don't know if he had the, I don't want to say levity, but just, there's something about the performance of Roy Scheider that is just so real.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
His reactions, his like.
Yeah. I agree. And I'm sure Duvall would have been good.
Oh, he's one of the best actors we ever had.
Yeah.
But
it just wouldn't have been the same.
I don't picture it. I can't see it.
Yeah. Roy Scheider actually overheard Spielberg talking about Jaws at a party and approached him and said, "Hey, I kind of want to be in your movie," which is weird. I don't know if that really happens anymore. I mean, kind of, I'm sure.
Yeah, maybe.
But,
it's a small little town.
I can just imagine. I can just imagine being at a party where Spielberg and Roy Scheider is hanging out and talking about this project. So they hired on Roy Scheider, and they hired on Roy Scheider with 9 days to production.
Wow.
And even better, they still didn't have a Quint or a Hooper casted.
Well, those are super tough roles to cast.
Again, this goes back to you got to get right, otherwise you're going to be wasting your time.
Exactly. I mean, Spielberg's movies really do come down to the cast. Mm-hmm. He knows how to cast, or his casting agent does. But yeah, I mean, his movies really make or break. I mean, most movies do, but his movies really do because they're the reality that's centered on the characters is what grounds his movies.
Right.
The cinema, like we were talking about with E.T., he's got that little cinema verite. All the stuff that he learned from being independent, learned from TV, learned how to, work fast. His movies have to have a relatable cast to work because they're so crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. They for the role of Quint, they originally offered it to Lee Marvin.
Oh, that would have been awesome.
And he said no. I agree. He would have been great.
Lee Marvin, man.
They offered it to Sterling Hayden, which would have been fine.
Yeah,
he would have been fine. But they both said no. The producers suggested Robert Shaw. Shaw was reluctant because he hated the book.
He's a grump. I love him, man. And he was awesome in The Sting, and he was awesome in everything he's been in.
This was the story, is that he said no, and his wife and his secretary were both like, what the hell are you talking about?
He was sleeping with both of them at the time.
I'm 100% certain. And they were like, you gotta do this movie. And he's gone on record saying they convinced me to do The Sting because he didn't want to. And they convinced him to do it, and he's like, look how that turned out.
Yeah,
so might as well do this movie.
My God, you have the worst instincts ever.
Exactly.
I'm
just want to sit at home and write more plays.
Man goes in the water.
I don't know why he became Southern.
Sharks in the water.
So for Hooper, the other piece of the triumvirate.
The third,
puzzle, Spielberg initially wanted John Voight.
Ooh. John Voight, before he went completely insane, was an amazing actor. Midnight Cowboy, amazing performance, amazing movie.
Yeah.
He and Dustin Hoffman.
Yeah.
But still, again, no. I'm sorry.
No, it still wouldn't.
Too big, too buff. You need a little scientist guy.
Yeah. But they also offered it to Timothy Bottoms.
Oh, he's good.
I don't even know what else is he doing.
He was in The Last Picture Show. His brother is also an actor. Hot Bottoms. No, I don't. He does have a brother.
Good old Tim and Hot Bottoms.
No, but Timothy Bottoms is a really good actor.
Okay,
He would have been interesting.
Okay. Jan Michael Vincent, they offered the part
Nope.
to.
I mean, he again before he
Went
succumbed
crazy.
to alcoholism in
Yeah.
the saddest way possible. I mean, we watched him die basically on the Howard Stern show.
Yeah.
He was a great actor too when he was
Yeah,
young. I mean, that kid was an up and comer, but just demons killed it.
Went
you
the
know?
wrong way. Kevin Kline.
Ooh.
He would have been good. I think he would have. Of all of them, I think him and they also offered it to Jeff Bridges, and I think he would. I think back
Bridges,
then he
yeah.
could have pulled it off.
Bridges would have, because he was all goofy back then.
Yeah,
you know, he was
yeah.
kind of a goob. But Kevin Kline, man,
That would have been good casting.
I would have liked to see that movie.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, young Kevin Kline. I mean, but Kevin Kline would have been amazing.
Kevin
I mean,
Kline
that
would
guy
have been
was
great.
awesome.
He's a fantastic actor.
One of my
everything about
favorites.
him. Yeah. They actually, so George Lucas actually suggested Richard Dreyfuss because of American Graffiti.
Yes, American Graffiti. He was awesome in that.
Yeah. So Lucas suggested him. Dreyfuss initially passed, but then saw The Apprenticeship of Duddy Kravitz, if you've ever seen this fantastic movie.
It's not a bad movie.
No, the funny thing is that he hated his own performance so much that he was afraid that he was never going to work in town again.
I'm never going to work in town.
Yeah, and so he literally went to a screening, hated his performance, and that night called him and said, okay, I'm going to do the movie.
Wow.
Because he was so deathly afraid that he was going to be blacklisted.
Thank the Lord for insecurities.
Yeah, which the irony is that later he got huge accolades and Robert Shaw hated him for it.
Jealous, baby.
So hated him.
Finally like him.
All right, well, let's take a quick break and we'll come back and talk about the amazing production of Jaws.
Production.
Yes. So on May 2nd, 1974, principal photography began on the island of Martha's Vineyard in Massachusetts. Richard Dreyfuss has a very interesting quote.
We started the film without a script, without a cast, and without a shark.
That was good. That was awesome. Thank you, Richard. They literally did not have a script.
No.
They were still working on it.
Well, not a finished script.
I mean, they had enough to be able to create.
They knew it was
things
about
and
a
do
shark.
stuff. They knew it had to be in the water. But, you know, they would obviously be... Gottlieb actually came with them to set and was working on the script while they were shooting. Principal photography, the cinematographer Bill Butler devised new equipment to facilitate marine underwater shooting, including a rig to keep the camera stable regardless of tide and a sealed submersible camera box for all you tech nerds out there. It was cool. This is the first time they'd done it. This was the first movie, the first major feature to ever be shot in open water.
Yeah.
And so
One of the last.
it was a huge risk, and they knew this.
So dumb.
But, you know. Spielberg asked the art department to avoid red in both the scenery and the wardrobe so that the blood from the attacks would be the only red element and cause a bigger shock.
Ooh.
Initially, the film's producers wanted to train a great white shark, but quickly realized that wasn't possible.
There's never been a great white shark in captivity. What? That's just such a... Oh, my God. That is such a friggin' producer thing to say.
Yes.
Well, I can just see them all in the meeting. Well, why don't we just get... Look, how much to buy a shark? And just train it to do what we want. I mean, we could just knock the teeth out or something, right?
We can train it, right? We totally can train it.
Oh, idiots.
God. So they made 3 full-size pneumatically powered prop sharks. Everyone knows them.
Yes.
This is the most famous part of the making of the movie.
Bruce.
Poor Bruce. Named after Spielberg's lawyer, Bruce Raymer.
Poor guy.
Yeah, they had a sea sled shark, which was a full-body prop with its belly missing that was towed with a 300-foot line. 2 platform sharks, one that moved from camera left to right with his hidden left side exposing the innards, and then the opposite side. And they used all 3 of those. They shot out on Martha's Vineyard, and part of the reason they did was because the beach coming out of Martha's Vineyard goes down to about 35 feet.
Oh.
But it stays at 35 feet for almost 20 miles.
Oh, wow.
So you can theoretically, if things were to fall, you could still get them, but you could be far enough away that it doesn't look like there's any land. Like you're just literally out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. Well, I mean, 35 feet is still pretty deep.
Well, yes, definitely. As shown by the fact that when they first started using the 2 side sharks, they were towing them out there. The thing capsized and sunk to the bottom.
Good Lord.
The very first time they were trying to use it. The movie was plagued with problems.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're shooting on water.
Yeah.
With an inexperienced director. They're building stuff as they go. It's all experimental. It's all new.
Still don't have a final script. It was,
or a shark that works in any sort of regular fashion.
they had the orca. The boat started sinking one time. This is a few of the other problems.
Sure.
The orca
With the
started
actors
sinking
on
with
it.
the actors on it. Everyone thought they were going to die. It was fantastic.
Who was it that yelled? So when the when the boat was sinking, I think Spielberg was like, "Get the actors! I got to get the actors off it." And I think it was the DP that was like, "Screw the actors! We got to get the sound equipment or something." It was just like it was such a beast.
It was so bad. Cameras would get wet. They would have to. They estimated that for every 12-hour day they had, they shot for maybe 4 hours.
Yeah, because
on a
people
good
were
day.
seasick.
On a good day, yeah.
And you had to have. You can't. You don't realize that when you shoot on the ocean, the sun changes just like it does on land.
Yeah.
And,
you lose your
Getting stuff to match,
Yeah.
you have to shoot in a certain amount of time, or the sun's all of a sudden, on the other side.
The writer Gottlieb was almost decapitated by boat propellers at one point.
When you fall in the water or something?
I think I don't know. He must have. I mean, I don't think that the boat was in the air. Everyone was seasick all the time.
Oh, yeah,
that was
gross.
just all the time.
So much vomiting.
And Robert Shaw would constantly leave for Canada because he was having tax problems in America.
Yeah, he wasn't doing great. While he was filming Jaws, he had trouble with the IRS. His drinking was out of control.
Oh, yeah.
And he had this weird relationship with Dreyfus. He was jealous of Dreyfus for his
The
success.
Duddy Kravitz thing is so bizarre. I just
Well,
don't
Spielberg
get it.
said, here's a quote from Spielberg about their relationship. He said, Robert would basically humiliate Richard into taking a chance. For instance, Robert would say, I'll give you $100 if you climb up to the top of the mast of the Orca and jump off into the water. So the horrible relationship made their characters feel real.
Right.
But, it nearly killed both of them during the process. But to his credit, Dreyfus did say that Shaw was a perfect gentleman when he was sober.
Oh, nice. That's
It
good.
unfortunately wasn't very often during the shoot.
Caveat, yeah. It was
Which I
great.
get it. I mean, we all
Yeah.
know it's Jekyll and Hyde's, baby. you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
Sweet as pie until you get them drinks.
Yeah, we know a few people like that.
Yeah.
No names. Okay.
No names.
The crew actually started referring to the movie as Flaws instead of Jaws. 'Cause
Clever.
It was so bad. Yeah. I'm sure someone patted themselves on the back for that
I
one.
sure did. Probably made T-shirts.
There were full days where they did not get anything shot. They would literally do nothing. Photography finally wrapped on October 6th, 1974, turning a 55 budgeted day production schedule into 159 days. More than doubling the budget to just under $10 million.
It's insane. They almost killed a stuntman, too.
Yeah. It was terrible. Spielberg completely blamed himself. Like
it was inexperienced. I mean, you have to.
Was
You're the
like,
leader.
I'm inexperienced.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, he was fully convinced he was never going to work in the town again.
Well, I mean, just to, so they hired this little person to stick in this shark cage to make the shark look bigger,
Yeah,
He was
yeah.
he was doubling, I guess, for Dreyfus, right? So they sent us, here's the quote from the second unit director. Hollywood sent us this little man, and he couldn't dive. He spent most of his life riding horses, doubling for children in films like National Velvet. He had doubled for Elizabeth Taylor, and we had to take him out and stuff him into a cage and dangle him into the cold southern ocean and have sharks, big, huge, monstrous sharks, swimming around him. And he was very much afraid, and we had a lot of difficulty getting him into the cage.
Wow.
Because he couldn't dive or swim, the poor little stuntman. He was a horse rider.
Just throw him in the water; he'll be fine.
Nicknamed him Sharkbait.
Oh, yeah. I think they almost killed pretty much everybody on the set at one point or another. Richard Dreyfuss almost drowned.
Yep.
He was
In the
stuck
cage, in the shark cage again, yeah.
They couldn't get out, and they couldn't get it up in time, and he almost died. Like it was insane. I can't even imagine. Everything would stop working. I mean, just because if it wasn't getting wet, it was the sea salt, like in the sea air. Like it was just.
The reason why Spielberg takes blame is because he insisted that they shoot on the ocean. Almost every other film that takes place on water was filmed in a tank in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
In
Or
a
down in
controlled
Mexico,
lake,
yeah.
or someplace where they had complete control over the situation. But he was like, no. And I get it, man. He comes from that independent spirit, It's like, we're going to do it for real, baby. But, that's the hubris of youth and inexperience either kills everybody or makes some sort of genius project. You know, it's like it goes either way, and he got real lucky.
That's true. That's very true. So with the troubled production, they were actually, the movie was supposed to be released that Christmas, but because it didn't wrap until October, they could not.
Yeah.
So it became a summer movie.
The first
and
big
it was
summer blockbuster.
it was the first big summer blockbuster. Part of that was the fact that this was the first movie to have a large television presence. They had 12 different commercials run over 2 days before it premiered.
Remember them?
30 times over 2 days.
See a shark, eat a man. Jaws, 3 men fight a shark on the sea. Jaws, from Universal Pictures. Jaws.
Wow, it's like I'm watching TV.
Yes.
It's crazy. But they spent $1.8 million on a marketing push for this
Brilliant.
thing. And it was, before that, and from the research I could do, it seemed like there was not really any marketing. Like they would do, posters and stuff, but it was always around the movie theater.
It was in-house.
And it was more considered to be word of mouth. Like everything was word of mouth.
But they also had handouts where it could be like, oh, here's what's coming
flyers
in the next,
and stuff. Yeah.
and like
Here's
little
what's coming
cards in the theater.
Yeah, the lobby cards, yeah.
And just to get back to the release date real quick,
Mm-hmm.
I think 100% that releasing this in the summer is a huge factor of its success. Because I don't think Jaws would have been as big in the winter, because it's like, you're out there in the water, man.
Yeah,
and it's
exactly.
like, it's a perfect, if it's the winter, it's like, it's not as scary. But,
yeah.
ooh, man, that I think...
100%, 100%, and it was brilliant, and that might have been part of it. The delays in the production was bad for Spielberg. It was bad for the movie. It was bad for the budget, but it helped get the script down.
Yeah.
Like he had more time to write. Plus, they had to change the marketing aspect of it, and it's that kind of silver lining of like, okay, like we're gonna take this and run with it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that came up at the meetings. It's like, well, it is the summer. People will not want to go in the water.
Yeah. And they probably were like, well, it's going to be bad because he's going to keep people from blah, 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 blah. But,
Whatever.
yeah, exactly.
they made their budget back in 10 days, even after it almost doubled, more than doubled.
Now, I heard a story, and I can't guarantee that this is true, but one of my film professors at Boston University told me this story about Jaws.
Okay.
And he basically said that the reason why Jaws is anything resembling the movie that it is today is because of Marcia Lucas.
Okay.
And what happened was Marcia and George, I guess, came down to visit him, or he had wrapped production, and it was like they didn't know how to put this thing together because nothing matched on the water. The shark didn't work, the shots of the shark were ridiculous. So she was the one that was like, let's not show the shark. And she kind of put like a rough cut together and and solved these problems uncredited. Because she was a really great editor. And then, like I said, this is,
Yeah.
But this is inside baseball. This guy, the professor, knew what was going on. So
Right.
I do tend to believe him because a lot of this stuff does happen. And she was, or I
Sure.
don't know if she's still working, but she was a great editor. So apparently, Marcia Lucas is the reason why we have the Jaws today, because there just was nothing that cut together.
Well, no, I mean, it was bad. I mean, the footage was ridiculously. They had to do something.
But if you look at the way it's cut together, it's very like, and everything is kind of longer shots, and and sometimes it does cut from like a sunny day, and then it's like pretty dark with the ship, But you can okay, maybe a time passed. You
can buy that.
Like I don't see the editing as a stumbling point. It's like I think it cuts really well together.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. If you showed the shark sooner, if you didn't have that tension, then the movie wouldn't be what it is.
Yeah, well, it's like what we talked about with E.T. With E.T., you had to have the perfect puppet because you had to fall in love with the puppet. Right. With this, you just need a really good fin,
Yeah.
to pop up in the water, because it's nothing scarier than the suspense. Of the, like when the kids go in the lagoon, and the shark's in the lagoon, and the guy's like, hey, your boy's okay. And his boat gets knocked over, and you see the leg,
Yeah,
all charped
bubbles,
off,
yeah.
dropping to the bottom, man. And you never saw body parts before that. It was
Yeah.
ooh.
They actually shot that in, I believe it was George Lucas's backyard, his pool. Or no, sorry, it was, I think it was Lucas's
Oh.
pool. They ended up adding this scene in, and it was the body parts coming down. Yeah, it was. I knew so many people, and granted, this came out in '75,
Yeah.
and I was not born for 3 years,
Yeah.
but I knew people when I was young that did not like to take baths because of Jaws.
Oh man, look, I did not see it in the theater because I was too young. You know, I mean, I'm really surprised that the old man was like, "Let's go to take him down." What are they doing? They're eating him. So I didn't see. I saw it at a friend's birthday party, and it was still at that point. I was still pretty young, and there was like this. Oh, should he be able to go? Because they got the laser disc.
Nice.
That was, I think,
Yeah.
released in 70.
It was 78. Yeah, that
so I was a
yeah.
little bit older. And so I went, and that movie scared the friggin' bejesus out of me, man. We had a pool growing up. I used to swim all the time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I would not go in. I had this, okay, here's what I thought. We had a light, you know, like a pool light, you know, for nighttime. You know how lights work? Let me
Lights.
explain.
They work.
Okay, there's this guy named Edison who created this thing. called
Lights now
electricity.
for night.
So I thought that the shark was going to come somehow from an ocean tunnel work to the light. I guess there was some tunnel to the light from the ocean that in my mind.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Pop out the light, squeeze through, and then
Oh,
eat me.
and then eat you.
Yes. I was so
You
scared.
thought the shark was going to come through the light?
Yes, come through the light. I had a
Wow.
very, very horrifyingly active imagination as a child. My best friend and my worst enemy. But yeah, I mean, for years, man.
Yeah.
I mean, there has never been anything more detrimental to a species, I think, than Jaws.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God, yes. Yes.
Sharks for decades were misunderstood and
Yes.
hated and
Yes.
hunted, and and look, I'm not blaming this
Steven
fun
Spielberg.
movie, no, because I mean it was a book before. It wasn't
Yeah.
people, it's like, we make monsters out of everything, but it's crazy how one thing.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think this was. It wasn't just the fact that this was the first huge blockbuster,
Right.
but it affected society in such a way that not since I would say Psycho with the shower scene.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
I think that
yeah.
was the first real, like, oh my God, I don't want to take a shower.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Yeah.
this surpassed. It was like a hour and a half long shower scene. Where just people are like, screw this. I do not.
Yeah, yeah. It's
But when I saw it, yeah, it scared the. I loved it. I loved it. And what I loved the most about it was and what I still today love the most about it is just the relationship between the three old dudes.
yeah, yeah. They're
It's
fun
just
to watch.
such a fun movie to watch these guys. And the fact you got a landlubber, that hates the water, can't swim.
Yeah,
Chief Brody, who's only there because he's got to be.
Yeah, yeah. He has
you know?
to. He has to
You
take
got
care of that shark.
The drunk curmudgeonly sea captain, and let's just say, one of the greatest introductions of a character ever, Quint.
Oh, yeah.
With the
Oh, yeah, yeah.
on the chalkboard. I'll get your shark for you. It'll cost you 10,000.
So Jaws was one of the first movies to have a really large tie-in, like merchandising tie-in.
Oh yeah.
Everything, everywhere. The soundtrack, album, T-shirts, plastic tumblers, a book about the making of the movie, the book the movie was based on, beach towels, blankets, shark costumes.
They had also those like grabbers.
Oh, yeah.
The shark grabbers. I remember I had one of those. I think they
Yeah.
sold those at like Universal.
Yeah. I remember
It
that.
became a ride.
Yeah.
The Jaws ride at Universal.
Oh yeah, which was great.
I almost drove. Can I tell you a quick story? One of the jobs I had when I first got here, I was a PA on the People's Choice Awards, and it was shooting at Universal. And our job on the night of shooting was we had these shuttle vans that we would drive from the parking lot down to the stage, which was one of the stages on the lot of Universal.
Right.
So I'm picking up a bunch of people to take them back to their car, and I hadn't done the drive back yet. And I'm driving, and I turn down this road. It doesn't feel right. And I flip on the high beams just in time to see me about to drive into the lagoon,
Oh, nice.
the Jaws Lagoon,
The Jaws Lagoon in the back lot.
with
yeah.
everybody in the car. So they're like, really funny. And then I got lost again and came within inches of driving into the Red Sea, where they part the Red Sea.
nice.
And then people were like, okay, that's not so funny. Get us to the cars, you incompetent boob. But I did get them to their cars.
Yeah, it's a great, the Universal Backlot tour with the Jaws thing is fantastic. You know it's happening every time, but it's so good.
Oh, yeah.
So good. So there's iron-on transfers, games, posters, sharks, tooth necklaces, sleepwear, water pistols. I mean, it was
I had the water pistol.
literally anything shark-related was Jaws.
Yeah. T-shirts.
The movie won 3 Academy Awards for Best Film Editing, Best Original Dramatic Score, and Best Sound.
There's a little pattern here with these types of movies. They
Yeah,
always
yeah.
win Best Sound.
It was nominated for Best Picture.
And they usually win Best Editing. Yes, they are sometimes, but they
lost.
never win.
I know, I
think
know.
Star Wars was nominated.
It was for Best Picture. Yeah, it lost to One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. So
Well, rightly
it's a
so,
good movie.
let's be honest. I love look, I love Jaws to death, but Cuckoo's Nest was genius.
But Steven Spielberg was greatly resented the fact that he was not nominated for Best Director.
Well, it wasn't him that made that movie great. I'm sorry, Stevie. I love you, buddy.
Yeah, but
it wasn't. It was. It
Seems
was.
to kind of be his thing. You know, I love the guy, and I think he's fantastic.
Well,
but man,
He said he had PTSD.
yeah.
After
Oh,
shooting Jaws,
that
and
would
he
not
would
surprise
go
me.
for like even 2 years afterwards. He would go sit on a boat, and his hands would start shaking, and he
jeez.
would start shaking.
I
because the
wouldn't go
experience
anywhere
was-
near the water after that.
Well, it wasn't Jaws. It was the
No,
you
I
know,
mean,
yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Is going through 159. It was the most stressful time of his life.
Yeah, and
The most stressful, and I would never want to go back on water.
man, there was a Roy Scheider had an epic meltdown at one point, and just he threw his food down on the deck of the
no.
boat. They were on the boat, by the way. Threw his food down on the deck of the boat at like an AD or whatever, and just started screaming. And then everything, all of the months of stuff that was built up, all the stuff that he
Yeah,
observed and the
yeah.
mistakes, everything. He screeched and screamed. It took hours for Spielberg to calm down. And,
Wow.
and they were all like still on the boat though. After this epic meltdown, they were all still stuck on the boat together.
and we're just here.
God, I mean, it's really surprising that I bet you there were fist fights. I bet you there was like somebody punched
wouldn't be
somebody.
surprised.
Especially with Shaw drinking all the time.
Maybe that's how the writer almost got decapitated. Maybe he got thrown off the boat.
I want to have dinner with Richard Dreyfuss and just have him tell me about what it was like working on that movie. If you're listening, Mr. Dreyfuss,
Yeah, please.
I'll pay. I'll buy dinner.
How can he say no?
I mean,
All right, well, let's take a quick break. We're going to come back with a very special interview.
oh yeah,
It's going to be awesome.
interviews.
Oh, interviews. Sorry.
Our first big multiple.
Ooh. All right, we'll see you in a bit. All right, welcome back. We have a very special interview here. I have with me Quint, Brody, and Hooper. They're all here today to talk to us about Jaws.
How you doing, madam?
Great. Thank you, Hooper, for being here. Quint, how are you doing?
I'm good. You like peppermint schnapps?
He drinks a lot of peppermint schnapps.
I do actually. How have you guys enjoyed working together? Has it been pretty smooth?
Oh, it's been horrible.
Hope we. Yeah, it's a very difficult working environment. Quint is very demanding and drunk.
Is that true? Are you drunk, Quint?
Well, yeah. I mean, they asked me if I would go in and do this for however many dollars. I said no.
I mean, it seemed pretty high. Like 10 seems pretty high. You would be willing to do it for 5?
No. I mean, I'd do it for 10.
Okay, all right. Well,
And that's me giving them a break.
it's true. You do are actually pretty good at what you do.
Yeah, he had free crew.
That's true.
I don't even know how to swim.
Was there? I seen a lot of animosity between Quint and Hooper. Is there a reason for that?
I don't know. You want to talk about that, Quint?
Well, you're a pansy.
Oh, see what I have to deal with? It's a really bad work environment. We don't even have an HR department.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's a small boat.
Yeah. We needed a bigger boat.
Yeah. Did you guys ever get a bigger boat?
No.
No.
Nope. Nope.
Oh, that's too bad. It's hard to catch a
Carcarian
shark.
Carcarius
Yes,
is
I'm
what
sorry.
we're going after, which is the name of a great white shark.
It's hard to catch the Carcarian Carcarius when it's literally bigger than your boat.
Ugh.
Well, I have a lot of experience catching sharks.
Oh. Yeah? Goes way back? What was your first time catching a shark?
Oh yeah, I went down to Hiroshima.
Oh.
You ever heard of Hiroshima?
I have heard of Hiroshima. Yeah.
Oh, we lost a lot of men in Hiroshima.
Here we go again.
You can regale us with any tales you have, Quint?
Well, sure, I can, but some people seem to already know the story.
Is that Hooper or Brody?
Yeah.
Yes. Tell me about the bow-legged women. Quint,
The what?
the bow-legged women that you're always singing about. Yeah. Tell them about the bow-legged women.
Is there a particular reason that you like bow-legged women?
I don't remember the quote. Here's to swimming with bow-legged women.
No.
They swim a lot faster because of their bowed legs.
God, Quint, I understand why you don't like Hooper very much.
What are you talking about? I was doing a lot of cocaine back then.
Oh, okay, all right.
It was exhausting.
I can imagine.
The two of them, it was exhausting.
I can imagine cocaine and alcoholism.
I wanted to get eaten by the shark.
Yeah. Actually, we have a special guest here. He just came in.
Hey, fellas.
Hey, it's actually Jaws.
Hi, it's quote unquote Jaws here. Actually Eugene Sharkman. I just want to point out, you guys kind of came into my house, just kind of shot me full of barrels, and it's not very cool. Okay, not very cool.
Quint, do you feel bad going into his house and trying to kill him?
No, I don't. I don't at all.
I guess it's money. Money, you get paid, right?
Yeah, I'm getting $10,000.
You know what, buddy? I am so going to eat you. I'm gonna
Oh.
smash your little boat. Okay, you hear me? I'm gonna smash your little boat, and then I'm gonna chomp, chomp, chomp right on your chest. You're gonna spit up blood, and the last thing you're gonna see is Eugene Sharkman's eyes. Okay, pal? All right, buddy?
Yeah, right.
All right. Well, it looks like the end of this movie is going to be very interesting.
Keep watch, guys.
Eugene Sharkman, thanks for being here.
Sharkman out.
I want to thank Quint and Hooper and
It was a pleasure.
Brody for being here.
I am just really tired.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's a long days on that boat. Long days.
Oh, yeah.
Well, thanks for being here. So we have with us here
Our very
special,
very
good friend.
special guest is
Jessica Mall.
a return champion.
Thanks for coming back. We appreciate it.
Return champion. I brought my uncle last time to become the champion, and
Yes.
this time I just have to depend on myself.
Well, you brought Quint with you.
Yeah, that's true. I brought Quinn.
Jess is an awesome sketch and improv actor, and she did Quint. You can see some videos online of her doing it, and it's just really, really funny. When did you start doing that?
God, it's been a long time. Let's see. I think I started doing that in 2015.
Yeah, I was on stage with your Quint in a I think it was a yoga sketch.
Yes, that's what I think. That was what the original
Yes.
Quint was
It's
a
hilarious.
yoga sketch.
Yes,
Doing yoga.
Quint comes in to do yoga.
Yeah, and then like he gets a stool and he puts a stool on his yoga mat, and he and he starts doing his monologue.
Oh yes.
And then-
the old monologue, yeah.
And then a shark comes in with a yoga mat, and I say, "I'm gonna need a bigger mat."
Oh yeah, I was privileged to be in that sketch.
Nice. Did you play the shark?
No, I was just kind of a a utility player.
utility yoga
Yeah,
person.
I just kind of said, hey, this, I want
Watch
a
it.
nice class. Or something.
It's very Eugene Sharkman.
Yes, it was the beginnings of Eugene Sharkman.
The funny thing is I wasn't originally gonna play Quint.
Really?
Yeah, it was gonna originally be Danny, and then he had so many like big main roles, and I didn't have any.
Oh.
And so then they switched me to Quint, and I was like, oh, I better watch Jaws. Like,
You had not seen Jaws.
I had not seen it. And then, like, my only, like, knowledge of it was the ride at Universal Studios.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
back lot.
The backlot, right?
But, like, when you're a little kid, it's scary.
Oh,
And,
hell
yeah.
yeah. When the trolley goes down and
Yeah.
you're like at water level, that's
Oh, yeah.
creepy.
I was totally scared as a
Yeah.
little kid.
Yeah.
so I was like, okay, I'm going to watch Jaws now. Ooh, and then, like, it didn't end up being as scary as I thought. Like, it was scary, but it wasn't, like, terrifying.
Did you like the movie?
I did like it. I actually liked it a lot.
I didn't see it in the theater, but I saw it at a friend's birthday party when I was way too young. Oh, the pooches.
Hey, puppies.
How the dogs doing?
They're good. Sorry for their.
It's okay. No, they wanted to be in on the interview. Have you seen any of the sequels?
I actually have not.
That's not a
I've-
bad thing.
Yeah, two's
Yeah.
okay. Two's got the vibe of the original Jaws. 3 is ridiculous because it was in 3D originally. I saw that in the
Oh.
theater in 3D. Ooh boy!
Yeah.
And then if you want to just see an amazingly awful movie, watch Jaws: The Revenge.
Jaws the Revenge has a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. 0.
Well deserved. But I used to, and still do sometimes, on July 4th if I don't have plans, I'll watch
The Jaws?
HBO or somebody will show all
They
4
have 'em,
movies.
yeah.
And I'll just sit there and just bask in the sharks.
Bask in the shark. Yeah, no, like I saw. What was it called? The Meg. Have
Yeah.
you guys heard of
Yeah.
that movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that movie.
It was a good
I
one.
saw
It was fun.
other shark movies.
Deep Blue
but-
Sea. Did
Deep
you
Blue
see
Sea.
Deep Blue Sea?
Yes, I saw Deep Blue Sea.
Bait.
Bait.
Bait
That was-
the
No,
one.
I don't think I've seen Bait.
That had
Bait's a good one. It's like a
Matthew Modine or something in it. I don't
no,
remember.
maybe I don't know. It's one of the guys from Nip Tuck, but
remember.
it's
Oh, that's not
It's
Matthew Modine.
basically this. I think it's Indonesia or someplace where this shopping mall gets and supermarket gets flooded, and these people are trying to get through. but
that's
there's great white
right.
sharks in the supermarket,
right.
and there's some really. It's awesome. There's some crazy
But
deaths.
it's not like a bad Sharknado movie. They
No.
really tried to make it serious.
Yeah,
They
it's
tried
pretty
to make
cool.
it- yeah.
Bait. You should check it
Wow.
out.
Check it out.
Put it in your shark oeuvre.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, what are you working on now? You got anything coming up?
Well, next week I'm being interviewed by City of Hope.
Oh, nice.
And the interview is going to go at the Library of Congress.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'll be immortalized.
Yeah. Well, it's about time.
I mean, yeah.
Well, that's great.
You are one of the hardest working people I know.
Yep.
You just do not stop. It's awesome.
Yeah. And thank you
Right.
so much for being on the show.
Yeah. Thanks for coming
Of
back
course.
again.
Well, we're going to have you on again, so you're not done with this yet.
My trilogy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're always
Yes.
the greatest. Love you, Jess. And
Love you guys so much.
thanks so
Yes,
much for
love you
being
too.
on. That was fun.
That was really fun.
Always fun. I love Jess.
She's so fantastic.
She certainly is. And a repeat guest.
Yes.
Yes. She's one of our faves.
The only repeat guests we have are the ladies.
No. Are you calling T. Arthur Cottam a lady?
Oh, I think I did.
I don't know if he'd mind, but
Well, we'll see if he listens to this episode and calls us on
I'm gonna
it.
call you. But yeah, oh man, what a great movie! And,
Jaws changed everything.
yeah, it changed
It definitely,
cinema.
Yeah.
You know, it was the first real blockbuster. You know, merchandising juggernaut,
Yeah,
paved the
it
way
was
for
huge.
Star Wars and E.T. and every other blockbuster that came out. Every action figure you have was probably started with that. I had a shark. I had
Yeah,
a rubber
yeah.
shark. I remember I was in the back of a
yeah.
pickup truck. I would carry that shark everywhere. It was like my, my stuffed animal or whatever.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
a shark, a plastic shark. Loved it. And I remember I was in the back of a pickup truck And I think it was with my stepdad's kids, and they started throwing the shark back and forth, and they threw it out of the truck.
No.
And I never saw that shark again. Broke my heart.
Well,
Old man wouldn't stop.
Jim, I've got a surprise for you. That toy shark is here right now.
Oh my God, my life is complete. I was so pissed.
I can imagine. That would be very frustrating.
Safety blanket.
Did you realize when you were over at your friend's house and you saw the movie for the first time that you were watching history being made?
Oh yeah, yes. That's all. I was writing down my memoirs.
Jaws was the first Laserdisc title marketed in North America.
Yeah, it was weird. I was like, well, why do we have to flip the movie? We were just little kids.
Why does it look like a giant dinner plate?
Oh, man.
Yeah, it was.
But what a dumb idea. We were so young at that pizza birthday party for my friend, and they traumatized half of those children.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You know?
Of course it did.
I mean, it traumatized adults. It traumatized, and then, there were so many copycats, or at least things that were inspired by it, and everything was, Alien was described as Jaws in space, and
right.
Everything is like, oh well, Jaws with an alligator, or Jaws with giant rats, or
yeah, anything is it changed the landscape of Hollywood and how movies were being made,
and created a lot of really crappy knockoffs, and there hasn't been any really good shark movies. There's been a couple. I'm talking Sharknado. No, those are the ones.
I'm talking Sharknado 4.
Deep Blue Sea. I love it.
Deep Blue Sea was great.
It's such
one of the
fun,
greatest deaths ever.
Oh my God!
In a movie.
Yes, I mean that has some great shark munchies. There's some really cool decapitations.
Really
and stuff. There's been a few okay shark movies, but nothing has ever topped Jaws. And
absolutely not.
Caused a whole generation of people to hate sharks. We're just now learning.
Yeah, we're kind of. They finally realized. I think Discovery realized how they could turn it around and make people more interested in sharks.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to have a boogeyman, and the thing about a boogeyman in the ocean is you don't know. It's like when you're treading water on the ocean. Have you ever been bitten by something when you've been treading water in the ocean? I have.
No.
A little fish or something.
I get attacked by kelp and I freak out.
But it's like you get. Anything brushes on you or chomps on you, and you're just shark.
No, it's
it's so scary, and that's what's so great about the fact that they masked the shark and didn't show him too much until the end, because it's that you don't know what's under there. The opening of that movie is brilliant, because it opens up on a bunch of people smoking dope and having a good party and playing the guitar, jib jab jube, and then the guy's like, oh, let's go swimming, drunk. Oh, I'm going to have a little sexy time. And then she's taking her clothes off, going, oh, I'm going to go skinny dipping. He's like, I'm just trying, because he's so drunk. She's not that drunk. She gets in, starts swimming around. We're like, oh, what a great time. No. That murder, the part where she goes after the first, chomp, and she's, on the buoy, and she's like,
oh, yeah. It's frightening. Yeah.
It's so frightening. She's such a good actress.
Yeah.
Chrissy something. I think that was the name of her character. But again, it's like those. The reason why that movie is so great is because of Spielberg's directing human beings.
Yeah.
He couldn't control the water. He couldn't control the shark. He couldn't control the ocean. He couldn't control the weather. But he couldn't control the actors, basically, because they all kind of lost their mind. But his direction of them was amazing.
Yeah.
And just the little moments, Roy Scheider's stress is there. When he's he's touching his face, and then he notices his little kid aping his movements, and then he kind of does it the same way, because it's like, this kid, it's like, this is what it's all about, my family, and when his kid's in the boat, and he's like, it's fine if he's in the boat, it's just on the dock. And he flips through the shark book with all he's like, get out of the boat, you heard your mother, get out of the boat. It's like, it's those moments. And when Dreyfuss comes over with the wine, he's like, red or white. And he pours the whole bottle of wine basically in this giant glass and chugs it. And it's like, let's go cut up a shark. I mean, it's those moments that make that movie great.
Yeah.
It's scary. It's exciting, it's suspenseful, but without those awesome characters and the mayor and that woman whose kid was eaten and she slaps Brody. I mean, all that stuff is so great, And that's what's missing from Sharknado and all those movies is the humanity.
It
was the humanity of that movie that made it great.
They movies like Sharknado and most of the shark movies that are made, they see something. A lot of movies being made, they see the glitz and the glamour and the flashiness of it, and that's what they focus on. It's
about the shark.
They don't focus on the relationships. They don't focus on those touches, those things that that make you care about them enough to know if they get eaten or not. I mean,
like 60% of the shark is just seeing yellow barrels floating around.
Yeah.
And it's like it's fine because we don't need a constant barrage of shark attacks and killings as long as we have a really good story going on. My favorite scene in that movie is the three of those guys drinking in the galley, comparing scars. And then Brody's like about to show a scar, but he's like, it's not good enough to show. And then they make the jokes, and then it's just that heavy speech, man.
Yeah.
And Cooper knows. Like Brody's like, Indianapolis, and then Brody, but Hooper's like, oh Jesus, here it comes. And then that sort of goes in the water, into the water. That's so great.
I think it's a perfect movie.
Agreed. And it's so crazy that a perfect movie out of a mess.
From such a perfect storm of nonsense.
I love it. They're just making a movie, man. It's not like they're curing cancer, but it's just what is so great is just the extra miles these guys would go to get the movie, to get what they wanted. It's like
that's why he had to shoot in the water.
His quote, he's like, I had no idea. He's like the hubris of a young director thinking he could conquer the ocean, conquer the weather, conquer nature. How stupid are you?
Yeah.
But he's like, if I didn't do it, we wouldn't have Jaws because that movie wouldn't have worked. It was shot in a tank.
No, it would have felt fake. It would have felt not right.
The scope, the breadth, the endless horizon is what makes that movie just immersive. And you're right. It did turn out to be a perfect movie. Perfection out of madness.
Rewatch it again. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week.
Rewatch that one. Maybe 2. 2's fun. 3 if you want to get really high and see something horrible. And 4 if you just want to see a really bad movie with some pretty scenery.
All right. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.
We need a bigger boat.
It's pretty stiff. Yep. Yeah.
What?
I don't know. Let's have a small stroke.
We now return you to your regularly scheduled programming, The $6 Billion Man, already in progress.